A very good morning to you, our viewers. This is the Camnet Breakfast Show Thursday edition. My name is Sharon Kalimbula. On the other chair, I have Patrick Soko wearing grey, my favorite color. I'm not sure what he was thinking about.
Probably wanting to entice
to impress me.
And
well, you have.
And I'm glad I have.
You have, yes. You know, grey and nude, you know, these are colors for the rich.
Okay.
And they say when you want to be on a certain level, act like that level. So literally, I love grey because, you know, I want to be rich, you know.
There you are, expressing your ambitions.
Indeed, welcome to it. We have a jam-packed show, and we will be interacting with you, our viewers, again today on a very, very important discussion on various issues affecting your community. Of course, we have the Morning Boost, we have the Health Corner, the Money Markets, and we'll be zooming into some of the stories that made headlines yesterday. You too can call in or send us those text messages and give us what is happening in your communities, as well as give feedback on some of the stories you want to comment on.
Interesting. Just now we'll go straight into our first segment we call Morning Boost with Isaac Machisa. Stay tuned to Camnet TV.
Good morning, Camnet viewers, and welcome to our quick morning show, quick morning workout, and you will be able to benefit from everything we're doing. So remember, the key thing is just for us to help you be fit, exercise, burn some fats in the body, stay fit, and so that your executive functions are on the peak. Okay, as usual, start with a warm-up. Let's go. Just a warm up. A warm up. Warm up. And marching. Hip, 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 hip. Invite everybody in the house. Let's do it together. Everyone is invited. We're going to throw some punches today. Let's go. Last one. All right. You're all welcome once again. Just in case you're getting out of your blankets, join us quick. Let's exercise together. All right, I promise that we're going to do some punches today. Okay, let's start. Two each now. One each. Two each. One each. Two each. One each. Low punch now. Go! Stay low. Watch my legs. Stay there. Back to knee. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Again. Knee high. Last knee. 1, 2. Kick now. If you feel your leg is heavy, let's do this. 1 and 2. Let's go, mama. 1, 2, 1, 2. High. Higher now. High. High. High now. Let's go. There you go. Kick. Can you hear me?
Probably who can compete should be Amos Lungu, our sports presenter. I'll try Amos, then probably we can do the drill on a Saturday.
The fact that you've mentioned him, he will also disappear. The best was to
chances are high.
The best was to put him on the spot.
Chances are high, he may also vanish.
But anyways, this is the breakfast show. In case you are just joining us, you've only missed one segment. For now, we'll go straight into the health corner and see what the doctors have for us from the Medical Women Association of Zambia. Let's look at this.
Good morning. Welcome to Camnet TV. My name is Dr. Ma Asambang. I'm from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia. And today we'll be discussing about hepatitis B prevention. Now, for the past 3 days, we have discussed on the definition of hepatitis B, as well as the prevalence globally and locally. We have spoken on the diagnosis, as well as the treatment. And so today, I welcome you back to discuss the prevention. Well, hepatitis B has caused quite a stir, except there are a few people who do not know about it. And so of our pharmacies. Now, I cannot disclose how much because I'm not sure. However, I would encourage you to stop by any pharmacy today if you have not been vaccinated against hepatitis B. It is a very serious virus that can cause liver cancer, or as I said yesterday, hepatocellular carcinoma. Now, are there other ways to prevent it? Yes, there are, one of which is condom use. If you recall, I mentioned that hepatitis B can be transmitted sexually, and so the use of a condom would be warranted in a serodiscordant couple, or a couple where one spouse is positive and the other is negative. Sometimes people also ask, is it possible for us to conceive despite having hepatitis B? Absolutely, it is. However, you need to be very vigilant when it comes to follow-ups and your own self-care. Now, the risk can increase if someone smokes, drinks alcohol, and their immune system is compromised. I have used HIV as an example. You may also ask, well, if someone is HIV and hepatitis B positive, can they still conceive and have a family? Absolutely, it is possible. However, precaution will need to be taken. Preliminary blood tests will need to be made to ensure that the viral load of both hepatitis B and HIV are not high to the point that the transmission is very high, as well as the other blood tests that I mentioned. Some may also ask, well, if I do not have the means to purchase the vaccination, what do I do? Reach out to your nearest healthcare facility and see if there is social welfare available to help you. Also, pregnant women may be at risk of hepatitis B. And so in such an instance, we recommend
Welcome back. That is a continuation of yesterday's topic, hepatitis B prevention. And you too, our viewers out there, can send in those requests on what you feel or what you want the doctors should talk about. Remember, this is your platform, so each and every segment is actually meant for you to get informed, and therefore you have the privilege to actually call us or text us and say, this is what we want the doctors to talk about, and we will avail the information to them. Give us feedback on how this information has been helping you out there.
Interesting. Yes, Sharon, you are correct, because this program at the end of the day is dedicated to you, our dear viewers, so you can contribute by suggesting some of the topics that we'd want the doctors to tackle that we may think are of interest to you. And be sure to always catch it on our Facebook platform by just following Camnet TV Zambia page, and you'll be notified whenever we start streaming the breakfast show live. You can equally activate the notification for other programs like the news. So you can go on our Facebook page and like our page, and let's get interacting on our platforms. And just now, Sharon, how is the money performing, especially on the kwacha side against the other major convertibles?
But why do you look worried, Patrick? Do you have dollars and do you think the kwacha is depreciating or appreciating?
No, I haven't been saving dollars.
All right, the United States dollars is buying at 16 kwacha 74 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 07 ngwe. The euro is standing at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Great British Pound is at 20 kwacha 99 ngwe and selling at 21 kwacha 41 ngwe, while the South African rand is at 1 kwacha 09 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 11.
And we just hope that it will remain within the ranges of 17 to 16, and the highest so far it has been going has been 18. And we just hope that the government and the central bank will continue to put in place necessary measures to just maintain the exchange rate. We also saw that the monetary policy rate was actually maintained by the Bank of Zambia to ensure that they control inflation. And overall, Zambia's target has been to reduce inflation to a single digit. However, concerns have been that inflation hasn't been trickling down to in terms of people benefit from the reduction of prices. However, as much as we understand that it is the level of at how prices are increasing on a monthly basis as well as on an annual basis. So
Zambia looks to become an export-dependent country by growing a manufacturing base. Most small and medium enterprise still have no capacity to export. Some businesses have since accused financial institutions of failing to lend money to small and medium enterprise in order for them to expand their businesses. This was confirmed by Minister of Commerce, Trade and Industry Chipoka Mulenga when he featured on the Camnet Breakfast Show.
When you go to these countries, you want to get a loan. They'll sit with you, run you with a project proposal, run you with a business plan, and they'll tell you, this business you're doing, when you invest today, you will break even after 3 months. After the 4th month, you start making a profit. Then in the 5th month, we start deducting you. But in Zambia, before they even give you a loan, there's a negative in your bank. They start deducting you from the same loan they've given you before. You invest it. Those are things we want to change. Facilities of loans must be easy for SMEs and for the Zambian people. Once our Zambian people have access to money, then we're going to say, okay, now this business, we are doing it. I think now we can compete favorably, or we can set it up ourselves.
But Bankers Association of Zambia Chief Executive Officer Leonard Mwanza has defended the stance by the banks not to lend money just to any business based on the premise that banks have a responsibility to protect the resources of their clients.
Banks' core business is basically to give loans, actually. They make most of their money by lending money, which they get from the public. So they've got that fiduciary responsibility entrusted to them by their customers. They collect deposits. So they have a duty to ensure that those deposits are kept in a responsible manner. They've got a duty that they lend responsibly. Maybe that's where the difference comes in. It's about lending responsibly to make sure that they protect money which doesn't really belong to them. Because you don't just want to give money for the sake of it. You want to give money where there is an assurance that this money will be repaid.
Mr. Mwanza also says business owners should first invest their own capital in the business, then later look to financial institutions for support to expand their business, which already has a customer base. He says not all startup businesses are guaranteed to grow and says banks cannot risk to invest resources in businesses that do not meet the maximum criteria to borrow.
So don't go to the bank when you are just starting business. And in fact, if we are talking to that constituent of businesses, it is wrong for them, first of all, to think about the first stop is the bank, because the bank will not listen to them. The bank is not the right call for them to seek funding unless they have built a story, a verifiable story. They've got a relationship that has been created with a funder, which can also be verified. They've got records which banks would want to cite.
While financial accessibility still remains a challenge in Zambia, the government can strike a balance to see how much startup businesses can be supported with grants. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
There you have it. We call Prudence Chota the songbird.
Exactly, that's our songbird.
Yeah, because of a style.
That's our songbird.
Quite an interesting subject on terms of supporting especially small and medium scale businesses in Zambia. It's quite an issue, Sharon. I know the association, just like a PR wing, is not obliged to admit to some of its inadequacies. It has also to say the positive things.
Exactly.
And if you ask me about what Mr. Leonard Mwanza was talking about, to say access to finance for small and medium enterprises has been an issue. This is the problem, because we have not deliberate financing for SMEs and small-scale businesses in Zambia. If you go to China or other developed countries, you'd find that they have a bank that is dedicated to the agriculture sector, a bank that is dedicated to the construction sector, and they help these SMEs grow. That's the whole idea. Even the companies that are in the construction sector in Zambia that have been constructing our road, they are financed by the banks way back home in China that are dedicated to just ensure that their companies have the necessary capacity to be able to bid for tenders and do the necessary works and give for Sharon. Even the people come from Tanzania and Rwanda. These guys who are running most of the shops in these compounds. They have a systematic way of financing themselves. They come with capital, they have everything. They are more organized than Zambians. So you find that when they have started up a shop, they will thrive compared to the Zambian next door, because there is an integration, or they have a system of making sure that they are sustainable, they are viable. Probably Sharon, one of them will be owning a wholesale. So when this Rwandan comes to Zambia, they help them with the groceries and everything. Then they start selling. Then they start paying back to them. So you don't expect a Zambian shop that has a limited capital injection to compete favorably. No wonder you find that Zambians are struggling. And as every day goes by, Zambians are being reduced to spectators in their own country. So when Mr. Mwanza was talking about businesses, he talked about the cumbersome process. You and I, Sharon, are preview to the fact that you and I don't think it is fashionable to go and deposit money in the bank, but we would rather use mobile money services.
Exactly.
Because mobile money has just taken over. And if you go to the bank, first of all, it is your money that you are going to deposit, but will be subjected to a long queue.
A long queue, long out.
Besides that, there's a bureaucratic process that you need to fill in. Some people are not as educated as you, Sharon, who are able to even write and everything.
I may be able
filling a lot of things.
I may be able to write, but I don't think I have the patience to stand in the queue for like an hour to deposit my own money.
Exactly,
you know?
Because what happens is that when you are depositing your money, is that you have to queue the entire morning. For example, if you go into one of these banks, you have to say, this morning, my morning, I won't be at work.
Available.
I won't be available for work. Now work suffers while you, Sharon, you're trying to deposit your school fees. And those are problems that we need to always address, especially in the financial sector. So the SME is there, you take, immediately they want to acquire a loan, the requirements are too huge. Sometimes they'll tell you have to produce this you have to provide the collateral, and sometimes we're just starting, Sharon. You don't have even collateral you can rely upon to say, if I do this, it will go along, it will help me do that. But sometimes what they need a policy on SMEs in terms of empowerment. I don't know if they have a strategy. We understand it's a new ministry, but these are things that need to be in place. We don't know yet how interactive their website is, if at all they have. And we don't know if they are even intending to conduct a survey to understand the number of businesses in Zambia and the various needs they need. Because, Sharon, you can only respond to a problem you are aware of. Exactly.
They say the beginning of healing is understanding and knowing the problem. And therefore, if we don't know exactly, or if they don't know exactly what their mandate is, how many business we have, what they're supposed to do, they will not step in. There will continue to be a ministry just by name.
Yeah, exactly. Just issuing statements, just mere talk every now and then, and people at some point were fatigued, or rather
with statements with stories
of cooperatives.
You know,
form cooperatives. People have been told to form cooperatives.
Why?
From the cooperatives, people have been told, no, CDF, wait for CDF. People are still waiting for CDF. And that's a conversation that we are trying to ignite, Sharon, because I was talking to a senior citizen. He was expressing concern to say the national budget is a bulky document. But wherever these leaders go, the only thing they talk about is CDF.
What else?
But the budget has a lot of components. To what extent are we actualizing the content, the contents of the budget? The previous budget execution, I can guarantee you, have been poor in terms of us upwarding to budget commitments and targets. Previously, they have been poor. You'd see budget execution has been below par. We haven't been sticking to the budget, and for example, we didn't adequately perform well at all when it comes to the delivery of sanitary towels. It was in the budget, Sharon. So if we continue talking about CDF, we are forgetting about other issues that are in the budget.
Exactly.
That need equally the same attention for us as a country to progress.
All right, you're watching the Camnet Breakfast. Just now, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll start zooming into some of those stories. Remember, this is your platform. You can call us and send in those contributions that you want to talk about, or you want to text straight to the authority. Good morning.
On Monday, 13th June 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Economic Front President, Mr. Winter Kabimba.
You know, power is only sour when it is in the hands of somebody else. When it is transferred into your hands, it becomes sweet, and all the wrongs that you saw with other people become right because now you're in power. So to attribute the increase, you know, the rapid increase now, or the continued increase in commodity prices to the war in Ukraine is really not being truthful. Again, that is one thing that the UPND government has failed to own up.
Topic of discussion: where has Zambia gone wrong?
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages.
On TSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Make it
Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
We celebrate for all you've done, Lord. We give you all the praise. Oh, we testify. We celebrate. Oh, Lord, we give you all the praise.
Welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast. I'm Patrick Soko and my co-host Sharon Kalimbula, and we've been zooming some of the stories that have been making the headlines in the news. We were just zoomed in a story on business where the Bankers Association of Zambia was dispelling assertions that it has been failing to give its members rather have been failing to provide loans to SMEs. And this has been a topic for a while, but however, we also tried to analyze the same issue, talking about some of the impediments that make it difficult for SMEs to access financing from the banking fraternity. And just now we tried to also zoom in some of the stories that were actually making the headlines. And one of the stories that was making the headline was the story pertaining to the arrest of Geoffrey Bwaliamwamba, also known as GBM. He was the former defense minister under the Patriotic Front, and the court had put before Mr. Mwamba to be released.
Indeed, indeed, Patrick. Mr. Mwamba is facing 24 counts, among them being in possession of property suspected to be proceeds of crime. I don't know why, I just feel it comes out nicely when I say suspected to be proceeds of crime. I think there was a time when we were hosting, I think, the breakfast show, and we were looking at the story for Bowman Lusambo, and when he was also his property was seized, you know, I was like, oh my God, this nice house is also a proceed of crime, you know, for Ronald Chitotela also, you know. I was like, so is she an relationship proceed? You know. Let's look at that story, and we'll also look at some of the stories that were happening in the courts of law as we continue to follow up those stories today. Miriam obviously is at hand at the court grounds, and she will bring us the main updates on what is happening during our main news bulletin at 19:30. For now, let's look at the stories, starting with the story for GBM, and then we'll also zoom in back-to-back the court stories.
After spending a night behind the freezing cells of Lusaka, Patriotic Front member Geoffrey Mwamba, who claims not to be shaken by his prosecution, says nothing will change him because he still remains the unshaken GBM.
Well, I feel nothing actually has changed because I knew what was happening or what is still happening. And nothing will change me. I'll always be GBM. That one, no one will steal it away from me.
Mr. Mwamba was yesterday, the 7th of June 2022, arrested by a joint investigation team and charged with 24 counts of being in possession of property reasonably suspected to be proceeds of crime and conflict of interest involving millions of kwachas and thousands of dollars respectively. While his co-accused Adafas Mwanga is said to have been in possession of over 1 million kwacha property, also believed to be corruptly gained.
5 counts is their count. That's what they think in their heads. But maybe it's only 1 count, mind you. At the end of the day, we are very good lawyers. I think they will be able to reduce the accounts to probably with 0. Yeah. So that is not worrying me at all. Well, like any other detainee. They kept me like a detainee, but I'm used to it. I think this is not the first time. As you all know that, I think even through PF, I went through the same. Even with the Hakainde Hichilema, who is now the president, I went through it with him. I've been detained several times, so this is nothing strange to me.
Are you shaken?
Oh, since when? Since when can I be shaken? Since when can I be shaken? Have you ever seen me shaken?
Mr. Mwamba, who appeared before the magistrate court Wednesday morning, was granted 300,000 kwacha bail in his own recognizance, together with his co-accused, by Magistrate Sanford Ngobola. Speaking to the media shortly after his release, Mr. Mwamba says despite his prosecution, he cannot be shaken, further alleging that this comes as a result of his decision to leave the United Party for National Development and rejoin the Patriotic Front Party.
Talking about a case, let me tell you, which happened when I was Minister of Defense. And they have no facts that I interfered in the procurement of that contract. They have no defense whatsoever, and I don't happen to appear anywhere. But you see, because of what I did, just because I resigned from UPND, you see, just because of my resignation, leaving them out, leaving UPND, that is the problem that I have made. But I can tell you that I'm still strong. In fact, I'm getting stronger and stronger by the day. You see, I've been quiet for too long. I think this is about time that I should now start mobilizing my party PF. Yes.
Among the 24 counts that Mr. Momba is facing before court, it is alleged that between the 27th of December 2012 and the 31st of March 2013, whilst he was Defense Minister, he failed to disclose interest in writing relating to a contract for supply and delivery of general-purpose shelter tents for the Zambia Army. The two accused persons are expected to appear before court on the 14th of June 2022 for their possible plea. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
For years, waste management is among the major environmental issues that Zambia has been grappling with, and the city of Lusaka is not spared. Lusaka generates about 1 million tons of waste annually, 2,700 tons per day, but only half of this is taken to the designated dump sites. Just recently, Zambia joined the world in celebrating Environmental Day that falls on the 5th of June every year, and waste management is still something people need to reflect on, as the Lusaka Central Business District is choking with waste. In an interview with Camnet News, a trader identified as Tito says they are not pleased with the tendency of Lusaka City Council when it comes to garbage collection.
Let's encourage the government to bini, more especially for bini, as a bini a kuru yaja. But fakira ko bini, then ingare ko is than so gani town, but then sivone kamu. As you can see, muno mnani kale mu street chishta ma businesses yambi wena ngo example bashita masamusa wena ngo nivitumbua so ijonona mungati ngapwesa maningi got town otherwise nakolera futi ngambu kepria istada menei.
Other traders have reminded the local authority to be proactive in their business.
Please, to apapa tabese batu afueko pa town center 2 weeks inshallah. Tabesa mukukusa. So apatra pangila po tu samusa nefia kufalo kusonga fia fululuka vyonse fia fisa mukima paredingi. Tumanaka kwa tikama ni mbina fueba apata tupianga please to apapa walo leshe niko limbi kutawa kwa takweli yonse mwewa fiashi. Mwema bako kuntanji please apa yachita ove fishara turelo mbako bese balole shepu apa tristi delo bayole fishara fitu apa.
The Lusaka City Council has always made assurances to address the problem, but at the moment it seems to be beyond the means of the local authority. Garbage in the CBD accumulates very fast owing to the number of people and businesses. And if no lasting solution is found, it will be impossible to combat environmental degradation. The question still remains, is the waste management under the LCC doing its level best to end this issue once and for all? Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
According to Zambia's latest national population and housing census data, less than 30% of citizens have access to flushing toilets, meaning that the rest of the population across the country depend on pit latrines and other modes such as open defecation. The use of pit latrines is widespread in unplanned settlements, which form about 70% of the urban population according to the World Bank. The problem of pit latrines has also brought with it underground water pollution, especially that most of these communities also depend on wells as the major source of water. This, however, poses as a threat to Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which aims to achieve clean water and sanitation for all by 2030. Harry Mwangankumbula, Ward 12 Councillor in Lusaka's Kanyama constituency, Mr. Aaron Mwanza, says as a permanent solution to the problem which has been ongoing for a long time, the Lusaka City Council is working on bylaws to curtail this problem.
We are talking on the issues of fecal sludge management and coming up with a bylaw that will enforce the fecal sludge management What do you mean? The fecal sludge management procedure has not been managed well, especially here in Lusaka. That's why we have been experiencing diarrheal diseases. So this bylaw, if we push it, it will help Lusaka City Council and the Lusaka Sanitation Company to have the powers. Anyone who would want to construct a pit latrine, they should seek authority from Lusaka City Council. So that pit latrine is well built to avoid groundwater contamination.
Meanwhile, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company Public Relations Officer Mr. Nshamba Muzungu says the water utility company has successfully completed the first project of installing improved pit latrines in Lusaka's George, Chawama, and Kanyama compounds.
Our policy direction now is to roll out this program citywide. We'll continue promoting on-site sanitation in other areas as well of Lusaka. But obviously, the target of 5,500 in these areas that I've mentioned is not adequate. There are a lot more people who need to come on board so that they can have these improved toilets.
It is hoped that such initiatives will help in reducing underground water pollution and solve the problem of waterborne diseases. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, there you have it. Those are the stories. Apologize for that.
13th June 2022 on National Matters. Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as the host, Economic Front President, Mr. Winter Kabimba.
You know, power is only sour when it is in the hands of somebody else. When it is transferred into your hands, it becomes sweet, and all the wrongs that you saw with other people become right because now you're in power. So to attribute the increase, you know, the rapid increase now or the continued increase in commodity prices to the war in Ukraine is really not being truthful. Again, that is one thing that the UPND government has failed to own up.
Topic of discussion: where has Zambia gone wrong?
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype.
All right, you're still watching the Camnet Breakfast. Apologize for that bad feedback. However, before that, we zoomed into 3 stories, Patrick. Among them is the story for GBM, who is the former defense minister under the Patriotic Front, Geoffrey Walyamwamba, who had resigned when there were those Tumarangos, Chifu, Chitimukulu and stuff, what and stuff. So he just opted to choose his ancestors, for lack of a better term, as opposed to his political leaders. And that's how he left his position as defense minister. However, he was arrested, I think, on Tuesday, and yesterday, Wednesday, he was released on bail, yes, after paying 300,000 kwacha in his own recognizance, with 2 working sureties in the alleged corruption case, where he is facing 24 counts, Patrick, among them being in possession of proceeds of property suspected to be proceeds of crime.
Yeah, that's quite a topical issue at the moment. Most of the people who have been arrested for the similar grounds, proceeds of crime. Like, you get excited over saying that word.
Yes, proceeds of crime.
Yeah, but we've also witnessed it in the case of Boma Nusambo, in the case of Ronald Chitotera. Yes. And this has been quite an issue. But as a country, we also have to look at sometimes issues of conflict of interest. I think these are the issues that are coming out prominent as affecting leaders. So we just hope, even under the United Party for National Development Administration, people are also doing the right thing to ensure that they just do not involve themselves in suspected crimes that others may be facing at the moment, Sharon. We just hope that they will be doing things rightly to avoid finding themselves in similar circumstances, and also start singing the same song of political witch hunting or victimization. All those things come to the full.
Like, literally, humble. Even when you're killing it. Yes. Even when you're killing it, I hear it doesn't cry or scream or whatever. It's just quiet. And that is how Jesus is likened to that. So literally, when I'm interpreting it in a way that you're sheepish, meaning you're very quiet, you're on the reserved side. Sometimes unnecessary.
So Mr. Mamba has been like a sheepish.
A sheep, but I wouldn't want to say in wolf's clothing or whatever, but
yeah, but that's quite an interesting perspective, because now it wants to get into the ring and ensure that he immobilizes the party, the Patriotic Front, which many of the PF officials want to do. If you ask Mr. Munduwi, they will tell you the same thing. If you ask Shimbakambwe, they will tell you the same thing. And
positions as parliamentary positions in the National Assembly, then those will eventually leave. But those that are still having these positions, maybe we'll wait up to 2026. They'll hold on.
Interesting.
Yeah, they will hold on. We also zoomed in the community stories there from town, Lusaka Central Business District, and Zibora brought us a story also from Kanyama involving the issues to do with sanitation and the pit latrines toilets, where the councillor there, it says he is engaging the local authority in ensuring that people that want to build pit latrines involve the council, so that they give them a go-ahead, they give them a better plan to avoid water pollution. Remember, Patrick, pit latrines are those toilets, dugout toilets, and people usually dig so many brought us that story, and it's not new actually. It's a story that you can keep doing every day. Because waste accumulates at a rapid speed, unimaginable, like a speed of light. I think that's the term I'm supposed to use. It accumulates at the speed of light, and the council really is the one that is responsible to collect this garbage in the Central Business District. But clearly, it's not managing, it's failing, and maybe they should look at other alternatives. And we've got a colleague from the Cleaners Association of Zambia. I think they have donated beans, beans.
And we covered that.
We covered that story. But Apama bin yali luba.
They're not there.
I think this issue of also buying scrap metal is making people steal whatever metal is placed somewhere.
I think that's another story that we haven't really followed as the media, because there's an interesting aspect under the recycling initiatives. We look at the steel industry. So when you put up a bin that is made of steel, then it is going towards scrap metal, or it can be taken for welding, or for possible making reinvention of a gate or something that is made out of metal. If you put up a bin that is made of plastic, these street kids, they are all over the streets at night. So when they get those bins, they are recyclable materials. So there are people who buy such materials. So and with the quality that they have, that they are too thick in quantity. So you'd find that it's easy to sell that at a good price. If you haven't witnessed, Sharon, I think probably you have seen it sometimes where they said to find solutions to this waste in terms of utilizing recycling. It also comes with its own challenges, and the challenges we have to respond to the occasion, Sharon. Even the CBD, we need to enhance surveillance systems, especially in terms of CCTV, in terms of also monitoring general security patrols.
It's actually a cheaper way of monitoring areas, because you just have people, maybe 10 people, for example, who are working in shifts, you know, monitoring the whole situation. You know, like, for example, in the Central Business District, you put cameras and you put people strategically at one of the buildings. You know, government has a lot of buildings in town where they can just place that department, and the toll-free lines to call the nearest police station whenever they suspect situations happening, you know. But then we don't have such facilities, and that becomes very difficult for us to curtail criminal activities. The more reason why those bins, there's literally nothing. But those bins were dotted along Freedom Way, Cairo Road. If it's Freedom Way, there's nothing, literally. There's nothing, you know. So that is a matter of concern.
We can also try to zoom in a story from the Media Horizon Committee. It's quite an interesting story on media self-regulation, which has been more pronounced, especially in the past recent years, Sharon. And we had Mr. Ngoma explaining some of the developments where we saw Mr. Zambia pulling out, as well as the BBC Media Action, who have also been part of this process.
Throughout. Let's look at it, and hopefully we will be able to zoom in via Zoom, Mr. Ngoma, to just help us discuss quite a number of things. I think within just a few minutes, like 10-15 minutes, we'll talk about this and exactly what it means for the media in Zambia. Obviously, we've been looking forward to this, and it's a matter that's been dragging, and maybe I don't know, they thought it's not going anywhere, but we'll talk to him and hear why they have made this decision. Let's look at this clip, and thereafter, hopefully, he will be able to join us via Zoom.
The Media Liaison Committee regrets to announce that the Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia, and the BBC Media Action have withdrawn from their participation from the Media Self-Regulation Technical Working Group that proposes to set up the Zambia Media Council. This means that the two institutions will henceforth no longer be part of the media self-regulation process in Zambia. The Media Liaison Committee remains indebted. The technical working group will continue engaging with the government through the Ministry of Information and Media to ensure that the media self-regulation process is concluded as soon as possible. The technical working group is a subcommittee of the Media Liaison Committee that was constituted at the first Media Insaka held in 2019 in Lusaka at the Golden Peacock Hotel, and has been in the forefront of working with all stakeholders, the media, the government, in ensuring that the media self-regulation backed by law is finalized. Through the technical working group, the Media Liaison Committee continues to drive the media self-regulation process. The Media Liaison Committee is also resolved to push this process further and ensure the interests of media practitioners are protected and media professionalism.
On Monday, 13th June 2022, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Economic Front President, Mr. Winter Kabimba.
You know, power is only sour when it is in the hands of somebody else. When it is transferred into your hands, it becomes sweet, and all the wrongs that you saw with other people become right, because now you're in power. So to attribute the increase, you know, the rapid increase now, or the continued increase in commodity prices to the war in Ukraine is really not being truthful. Again, that is one thing that the UPND government has failed to own up.
Topic of discussion: where has Zambia gone wrong?
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages.
On DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
There you have it, and in conversation, Sharon, we've been joined by the Media Liaison Committee Chairperson, Mr. Enoch Ngoma. They have been spearheading the process of the media self-regulation. pulling out of two institutions that are part of the organizations that are championing this media self-regulations, being Misa Zambia and the BBC Media Action. Mr. Ngoma, can you hear us? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I can get you loud and clear. It's a very good morning indeed.
Thank you.
Your voice is very clear, but your face is not clear.
Okay.
Yes, the gadgets indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We just want to get an understanding of your statement that you issued yesterday. Does this mean that you still continue pushing the agenda for self-regulation despite some of your the stakeholders staying away from the process?
Yes, thank you very much for inviting the Media Liaison Committee to be part of your morning show, and we enjoy your show every day.
Thank you.
For the Media Liaison Committee, we are about 13 media bodies and the media associations and unions who are members of the Media Liaison Committee, and the Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA Zambia, and BBC Media Action. For the BBC Media Action, they are not members of the Media Liaison Committee, but they are members of the technical working group, which was formed following the need to come up with a media self-regulation framework. So TWG had some members who are not members of the Media Liaison Committee. One of those is the BBC Media Action. For MISA Zambia, they are members of the Media Liaison Committee and also members of the technical working group. So these two institutions, mainly for BBC Media Action, it was because of the support that we are getting from cooperative partners. This is the Swedish government through SIDA. They were channeling their resources, say for instance issues like meetings we had at Golden Peacock Hotel, where over 300 journalists were invited. All these workshops we've been having and the other engagements, the funding was coming through BBC Media Action. And then for MISA, they were the disbursing agent for BBC Media Action, where they were actually the ones who were doing any payment what is needed. So that the Media Liaison Committee itself was not handling any financial support, but they were being supported through BBC and then through MISA Zambia. So now we've had these engagements from 2019, where we had the first INSACA, second INSACA, and the third INSACA. We've had 3 conferences. And all along, all of us were moving at the same pace, and we were happy with the manner in which we were moving. But unfortunately, a few days ago, MISA Zambia called us for a meeting, and to regret ourselves as media in Zambia.
Okay.
But Mr. Ngoma, wasn't this thing talked about in the initial stages? Because really, we've reached this far, and you've been, MISA and BBC Media Action has been part of this whole process. I know you're not talking on behalf of MISA, but then is it logical enough a reason to give that they're not comfortable with the word statute?
Well, to be frank, even us as Media Liaison Committee were taken aback. We were actually shocked by that decision because, like I said earlier, when we started in earnest in 2019, we started these engagements on media self-regulation. And the first meeting we had, in which we invited about 400 journalists from across the country. I think every media house and every media institution. That is why we are also taken aback and shocked to see that our colleagues have decided to pull out, based on one of the reasons given that they're not comfortable with the word it's statutory, and yet they've been all along from 2019 up to last week. They were all along agreeing. They were part of the collective agreements we were making towards media self-regulation that is backed by law.
Okay, Mr. Ngoma, MISA Zambia is one of the major media bodies in this country. And then them pulling out of this whole process, what does it mean for this process of ensuring that media is self-regulated?
Certainly, we are saddened ourselves that our colleagues can pull out at this stage of the game when we're actually now it's like a ship is about to dock, and then the one who's driving the ship just jumps out of the ship, leaving the passengers without a driver. Because as you rightly put it, Mr. Zambia is one of the major stakeholders in this process, and like I said earlier, any financial support that was coming to the technical working group support the process was coming through Mr. Zambia. So what this means is that there is no more financial support coming from the sponsors who are giving us through Mr. Zambia. So that is a very, very big blow and a very big dent to the media and the process. And we are still in shock, but what we have agreed ourselves as Media Liaison Committee is that we cannot stop this process where it has reached now. The draft bill, as we speak right now, is with the Ministry of Justice, and anytime soon, maybe this coming week or so, the Ministry of Justice will call us to go and look at the bill so that we see if we have made any changes that we are not happy with in that draft bill. If the bill is going to be okayed by all of the bill, go to Parliament.
Thank you, Mr. Ngoma. We value your time, and we will always call on you whenever need arises.
Thank you very much. Have a blessed day, both of you in the studio.
Thanks. Good luck, Mr. Ngoma. If you don't be beaten too much, I'm sure you will emerge victorious at the end of the day, regardless of these challenges.
Thank you.
Cheers. So yeah,
yes, that's an interesting issue, Sharon, in the media fraternity. This is our affair as media houses.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
It affects us. It's not affecting the politicians or anybody else, but it affects us. But like the question you had asked Mr. Ngoma is that these people were aware through and through and everything.
Why now?
But why now is the question that someone would ask.
Didn't they understand the word statutes?
Yeah.
And therefore, each and every funding that comes with regards to media relations
comes through
MISA. But then if they pull out, what does it mean for the whole process, you know?
But I'm also certain that there are also media bodies that are there that are likely to push, and we just hope that cooperating partners will come on board, because if you saw the media network has taken over the secretariat. The media network on child rights and development, Sharon, has also been proactive in advancing the media agenda.
Yes.
So we also have institutions like PANOS. They have also been proactive. We just hope that they will manage to put the resources together and see or engage their funders as well to see this process through. Because you know, at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, Senate has to prevail in our industry.
Exactly.
Because if you see those who are in the public relations movement, ZAPRA, they have become more organized than the media.
You can't even compare them.
You can't even compare them. Every time they are having their annual events and everything,
you can't.
Even we just look, you get a sense, Sharon. But we can too be organized as journalists by ensuring that we put in place everything that favors us to ensure that we just achieve that purpose. Because even the lawyers are more organized than us, and despite us being the fourth estate.
Exactly. So yeah, that is an issue that we will follow up today, obviously, with MISA to see the reasons behind that. Mr. Ngoma couldn't give us more. He was limited because he was not speaking on behalf of MISA, but he gave us one reason to say they were not comfortable with this, according to them. But obviously, there is more than that which meets the eye. And so we will try and push the agenda so that they can explain to us. And I think Patrick, I've seen some comments, some questions in the MISA Zambia WhatsApp group, you know, where people are asking to say, okay, you haven't given us an explanation as to why you decided to do this, and they're still quiet. But maybe as the day progresses, we will.
Prudence Chota and Miriam Kaimba with Business for Breakfast, and we are going to they're going to give you quite a good program. Just stick around to Camnet TV as usual, the usual timings, and Sharon and I will be absentees for a while until until probably next month. So we just we'll be back. We're not going on a vacation.
No. They may actually think we are going to enjoy, but no.
We're
going in the sadness. Elon Musk trainers. Thank you so much for always choosing Camnet TV. Join us again tomorrow on The Business for Breakfast. Good morning.